Hey MobiKnights, it is your friendly neighborhood MobiWan again. This movie is Tango Cash, which I want to talk about, and it was suggested to me by one of my friends over one of our WhatsApp groups after he'd watched one of my videos. I don't know if anyone remembers Tango Cash. It came out in the late 80s. Sorry, it was directed by Andrei Konchalovsky. For those of you who don't know, Tango Cash is a movie that stars Sylvester Stallone and Kurt Russell. It's about these two cops named Tango and Cash.
If it isn't Tango, it's Cash. Tango and Cash, Cash and Tango.
The entire premise of the film is quite simple, really. There is a bad guy, and I mean this in every sense of the word, a proper cliched, campy bad guy played by Jack Palance, who plays it really well. Because if for any reason alone you want to watch this movie, you should watch it because of Jack Palance. He's got this absurdly complicated plan to get rid of Tango and Cash because they're messing up his drug operation. He's got a bad guy headquarters, even got a mirrored room, deliciously bad in the entire film, in a good way. He's just a bad guy, campy bad guy, something like you'd find in a comic book, old era comic book or cartoon. That's not to say the movie is not good. The movie is good, trust me. It's your typical 80s buddy cop movie with some really good one-liners and some really good action scenes. One of my favorite lines from the movie is when Tango and Cash are taking part in a trial because they've been accused of murdering a FBI agent. And at the hearing, Tango has now done this very eloquent speech. They then ask Kurt Russell's character, which is Cash, to share any thoughts he might have, and he just puts it quite simply.
This whole thing sucks. I mean, this is the biggest pile of shit.
But what happens though is as they being framed for the murder of this agent, they end up in prison, and it's so interesting because the prison itself is actually corrupt. They get sent to the wrong prison, and it's corrupt, and they get in the middle of the night they get taken out by these prisoners who then end up torturing them. And I mean, one of the more notable prisoners, his name literally in the movie, he's credited as being called Face, but that's because he's got this very pronounced jaw. He's played by an actor named Robert Zah, and yeah, it's so good. It's so good. When they do eventually find a way of escaping the prison so that they then can, take revenge on the bad guy played by Jack Palance, they have to go and meet up with Cash's sister, who's played by still one of my many crushes, Terry Hatcher. This is how you know this is like the quintessential 80s movies, because as you get to the climax of the movie, she is then abducted by the bad guys, and Tango and Cash have to save her. They didn't know she was abducted until they got there, and then they're like, okay, cool, we need to save her. I watched this movie as a kid, and for me, one of my favorite things growing up and having seen this movie was there's this totally pumped out van which they find, because Cash has got this friend in the police department who's almost like the Q for Bond. He makes all these weird and wonderful gadgets, and he's now developed this prototype assault van. Again, proof that it's an 80s movie, because when they use this van to go and attack the bad guys' headquarters, the bad guys also got kitted out vehicles. If you love one-liners and you love 80s action movies, I mean, who doesn't love Sylvester Stallone and Kurt Russell? Give Tango and Cash a watch. I promise you, even if you're a kid of the 2000s, just give it a watch. It's a fun movie, it's a popcorn movie. It's enjoyable, it's just a fun movie. In terms of rating, I would give Tango and Cash 4 rats out of 5 in a maze. Give it a watch. And let me know in the comments below what you think. And feel free to also comment with any other movies you'd like me to watch and give my thoughts on.